This episode is brought to you by Google Chrome. You think you know a browser, but Gemini and Chrome? That's new. It can help you with practically anything on the web, like restoring a vintage motorcycle from a 50-page restoration blog, or finally break down that long article you've had open for weeks. Gemini and Chrome is here for it. Ready to make anything online make sense? There's no place like Chrome. Check responses, setup required, compatibility and availability varies, 18+.
So good, so good, so good.
New summer arrivals are at Nordstrom Rack stores now. Get ready to save big with up to 60% off brands like Rag & Bone, Levi's, Adidas, and Free People. Join the Nordy Club to unlock exclusive discounts, shop new arrivals first, and more. Plus, buy online and pick up at your favorite Rack store for free. Great brands, great prices. That's why you Rack.
You recording already? Okay. What is up, Orange and Black SoccerCast family? We get a bonus episode this week, and this episode is airing live on June 12th. So happy 8th anniversary to the Orange and Black SoccerCast and those of you who are listening at home. My name is Brad. I'm part of the team that takes you through every week talking about the 2021 champions of the USL Soccer League. Let's go ahead and get started. We got a special guest to talk to this week for our upcoming game this Saturday on the 13th. I'll go ahead and bring him in. Chris, how are you doing today? How are things out there in Albuquerque?
Yo, Brad, what's going on? I'm doing good, man. Thanks for having me on. Glad to be on the pod again. Love to kind of give the other side, and I'm sure the listeners of the Orange and Black just love when I'm on this show.
I think, Ray's going to know a lot more than I do about podcast guests and minutes received, but you're probably up there, if not number one, for, outside guests coming onto the show. And we definitely value your insight into New Mexico United. So let's go ahead and talk about this game. Last time these two teams met earlier in the year, we had you on the show, ended up in a 1-0 victory for New Mexico in Orange County. Chris, talking about that game, really not too much of a high-scoring threat, but, Orange County put more shots. None of them were very conducive to scoring goals. New Mexico really stayed back, like you had said prior to the game. A lot of defensive holding, and then made the one shot on target they had count with a Reed Stephen penalty. So we talked about last time how both teams do like to play a little bit of a defense-first strategy. Has anything changed since April?
Things are kind of gradually changing, I would say. Obviously, listening to the coach, he would say they want to be a protagonist. They want to have the ball. I think a lot of the growth in the team really has been really trying to get more production out of that front line because as it may, the defenders have really kind of had to pull double duty since that game, and most of the score lines certainly do involve like a defender or or a defensive player. Obviously finding a goal, and so we knew that there was definitely like a yearning or a strong desire for the forward strikers, wingers to like want to get on the board, and we've kind of slowly seeing that happen. But I think one of the things that was really integral from then was seeing some consistency in the lineups and not seeing like all these like flop lineups from match to match, because there was a time where like the lineups would change between competitions, right? Between say USL Cup and regular, and based on a result maybe that came within the next outing, that the result would flip the other way. I think about when we had the Eastern Conference teams come through with Tampa Bay. We had some success prior to that, and then we used the same roster, and it was like nil. We got nothing out of it. But then Charleston, we were good, and then of course Hartford, we weren't. So it was kind of like, and that's about roster consistency. But it just seems like they're coming along. I think that we'll look a little different this time around.
Last time in action, New Mexico played against Phoenix Rising FC in the Brinks Tires Cup, a 4-0 drumming in that game. Look, I don't know much about how your team is fielding teams during the Prince Tire Cup, but looking at your guys' roster, it looks like your guys' average age is close to 27 years old, so taking it pretty seriously. Is that what's happening with New Mexico United, or is it just kind of moving on, playing the same roster, not looking at the depth pieces on the bench?
That's a good point, a good question that you're asking. On the State of United, when we previewed that Phoenix match, we were like, well, they just have to play the best 11, but we also were kind of looking at the possibilities of what does it look like for United to really come out of the Prince Tire Cup as maybe the second place team, or you know what I mean, or to to be able to actually be that the final 8 team of all the better teams, because obviously we would need a lot of help. But in terms of the match itself, surprise to us was they actually played the roster from the league competition. So for the most part, I mean, we had one player that was out with a broken toe, and so we had to switch him out with Howell. That would be Jake LaCava that I'm mentioning about the toe. But no, we used the actual roster from league match, and so that was the surprise to us, was that coach was like, hey, no, we're going to use this actual roster. We're not going to heavily rotate. To me, if we weren't in it somewhat, we would have heavily rotated. But it's the rival. We're not just going to sit down on a rival on a night where it's like, oh, well, we need a lot of help to get into those 8 spots. It was like, nope, it's still the rival, and we need to work out a lot of the things that went wrong in Phoenix when we lost 0-3. And I mean, I think that extra goal on top was just for, just to kind of put the salt in the wound, so to say. I think that was just a little extra.
All right, thanks for that. So focusing back onto the regular season in the USL Championship Western Conference, New Mexico United is currently 1/3 of the way through the season, 10 games played out of 30 for the regular season cup standings. Looking at 7th place, so sitting in a playoff but not guaranteed playoff spot at this time,
Right.
14 points. What grade, letter grade, school grade, would you give the team, and kind of a little bit of feedback on, is it, kind of what the team's looking for, or is it below or above expectations at this point in the season? Would you give to New Mexico at this time?
Honestly, I'd probably give the team about a C+. And I think that is because there is effort that's being shown. I mean, this has been a very slow season, and, it's been one where it's been really kind of intermittent with Open Cup, USL Cup, bye weeks. There's been so much that's kind of been up in their roller coaster, not to mention, and I'm sure all players endured this, the bit of the bargain collective bit, that whole bit, getting something going on with the league and the players union. So, I mean, I think that probably played on the emotions a little bit too, in the earlier parts of things. But I feel like a C+ because I feel like they've shown some growth since even the moment that they're in Orange County. They're still working out a lot of things. I think we still hear about they're trying to be cohesive, they're trying to gel, and that one probably drives me up a wall, because it's like the guys played together, majority of them, for a few years, and the new guys that are coming in were in Vegas, and they were with Dennis when he was there. So, the answer I was given when I asked about the Vegas players coming in at the top of the season, preseason, was they already know what I like. So it's a faster integration. But, we're seeing, how true that is kind of into it. And the other thing is, for me, 10 games is a good litmus test to kind of know, okay, like, what's the identity of the team? And I feel like I'm not going to sit here and homer the team on an Orange County show and say, oh, yeah, we're an A, or yeah, we're a B. We're doing so good. It definitely is not that. It's a C+ because, like, there's some effort shown, but this is certainly not where this team should be with how far they've gotten with the type of players they have on the team, especially having continuity from rosters over the years. Like you've maintained over 80% of your roster, and especially returning a lot of your starting players. It just can't be the way it is. And then I'll even add this to it. Like, coaches always talk about not peaking too soon, and it's got to be kind of even flow. Maybe that's what is going on. Maybe we've successfully found a way to flow under the radar during the time when everyone wants to be super eager, because I think this time last year we were definitely playing a lot differently. But then you kind of get to a place where complacency can hit, or you've been sitting at the top for so long and you're the target every week, and then eventually you have some misfires, and then you start to see your spot drop, and you start to see any team can get it if they want it, and then you're back trying to figure it out at the end of the season. So maybe there's a blessing in all of it too. Maybe there's a silver lining to it. Maybe somehow they'll come out of it in the next 10 games like right where they need to be.
Awesome. So moving forward, looking at the results of this match, before we move on to one little other topic that I had prepared for this game, what are you looking at for score predictions for this match? Who scores first?
Realistically, I mean, and I'll just use this as a trend. Like Charleston, we got one goal, and it was definitely like, one of those like win at all cost and then hold the line. Hartford, a lot of chances, a lot of creation, but just nothing. And then Phoenix were just dropping 4. And I mean, look, like, we would all go, yeah, we want 4 goals again. But I mean, realistically, like, to me, I think the team should be good for 2 goals. 2 goals, maybe 3. If I think about how they played each other back in April, I mean, yes, your team did have a lot of creation, and we just did not. And we got that one thing, and then there was that. That was it. So if you're and I'll have a follow-up question for you. So just based on knowing where we're at, kind of how we're playing, and knowing what that kind of was without knowing the question I'm going to throw in, I feel like score prediction for me is, I think it's a 2-1 victory for United. And I think that second goal comes probably around the 70th, 80th minute, when they find like kind of a resurgence, and then they just really try to kind of seal it out. But my follow-up question to that, Brad, is how has Orange County been playing since April? And then, of course, I think you would probably want to toss in your score prediction after that.
Yeah, so for a lot of Orange County's players, ever since our last regular season game on May 23rd against Oakland Roots at that Santa Ana game, a lot of the Orange County senior players have a little bit of an extended break. Orange County had their bye week 2 weeks ago, and then played in the USL Prince Tire Cup, which we went into a full deep dive on this week's episode about kind of just how, just like Orange County, or just like us as fans, I think Orange County doesn't really care as much about that cup, uses it as a showcase for letting the younger talent get extra minutes, letting kind of our teenage lineup get extra time. So with that said, I'm just double checking. Yeah, average age about 22, 23. So a couple of the older players do get minutes, but multiple teenagers got to play in that game. So moving forward, I think there's going to be a pretty well-rested Orange County senior lineup for this upcoming game. It's really up to them whether or not at altitude in Albuquerque, whether or not their fitness is going to be there for an extended game, if there's any lag from a little bit of extra time off. Besides that, though, I think the team, is pretty prepped and ready to go, get back to business as usual. They're currently sitting in second place, and, through 11 match day games, 10 goals against is pretty impressive. So I see no issues with Orange County really getting off. I think it's going to be a lot tighter of a game than some of the other games that we've seen recently. I do think Orange County is going to kind of give the return score of 1-0 in New Mexico this upcoming weekend. That's what I said in the show this past Tuesday. I feel like if I don't stick to my answer there, then I'm a little bit of a hypocrite. I'll go ahead and keep that score line as my prediction.
Let me ask you this though, like, because I know what it's like for a team to be in first or second because the rest of the Western Conference can't get a win that week, right? And so, so there's that thing that's kind of happening. I mean, we can look at the trend here, obviously, to see like things, but, aside from the result itself, letter grade, I mean, and the look and feel of it, you sit there, you watch the games, or, I mean, you see the games the way you do, Vantage Point. How does it feel to you? Like, if you could describe the way they're playing feels like for 90 minutes, in your grade, like what does that shape out to? Does that really shape out to like an A, or is it like because I mean the results say one thing, but what does it feel like?
Yeah, I think early on in the season I was more willing to put the grade at a B minus, B regular. I think over the last couple of weeks, I think it's stayed a little bit of the same. There's been a bunch of drop points against Sac Republic, against Colorado Springs Switchbacks, games that the team easily could have picked points up in. But I do think, being in that B plus range, I think a little bit as a homer, I'm a little bit more down on the team than the rest of the league. I believe John Morrissey and Backfield has Orange County sitting at like third place in the league in terms of the power rankings. So clearly people a little bit more smarter than me, have a higher expectation of this team. I've just, come as a fan, you expect when you allow 10 goals through 11 regular season games, you expect to be higher up on the table than sitting in second, albeit playing an extra game over some of those teams that are close in the rankings.
Right.
All right. Well, moving on, I wanted to drop one more little fun thing to talk about during this little brief show, but World Cup started today, and at the time of this recording, Mexico has already won against South Africa 2-0 with a 3 red card performance between the two teams. And Korea and Czechia, I believe, are playing later tonight. Who's your favorite? Who's your pick to win the Stanley Cup? Man, you can tell I'm a hockey fan. The World Cup, a little bit grander. Who's your pick to win the World Cup this year? And then a little fun, we've already seen 3 red cards. Last World Cup, there was an entirety of 4 red cards across the entire tournament. Wow. How many are we going to see this time around?
I'll take that one first. If I had to throw a number out there, I'd say I'm going to go with 13.
Okay, so we're tripling plus last World Cup, the entire World Cup across every team, although this one is a little bit bigger, more teams participating. And then who's your favorite to win the tournament?
Oh, man. Now, I did say I think I did some bracket. I think I did say I thought France would win it, right? Because that's obviously they're kind of a pick. I wouldn't mind seeing someone up in them, though. Honestly, though, I'll tell you, I'm really riding with one of the African countries to ultimately take the whole thing. I mean, this is like, obviously, there's a lot of things that have to happen, but I mean, I'm totally riding with that. I'm watching U.S. men's national team. I'm watching Mexico. I'm watching the games, but somewhere inside, I'm like, yo, it'd be really sick to see one of these African countries like really kind of battle and really put the Confederation of African Football like on the map. Besides AFCON, besides what players do in the Prem, but like really just put it front and center. So yeah, man, any of the African countries can get it as far as I'm concerned.
All right, well then I'll just put you on the spot then between the two top 15 teams in the world rankings from AFCON, both Morocco and Senegal, the two teams from your most recent AFCON final there. Which team places better in the tournament?
Ooh, honestly, Morocco does. They honestly do, and that's just fact. I mean, Senegal's dangerous. I mean, Nigeria is dangerous too. If Nigeria can play as they did into the AFCON, like later into that tournament when they really started to put goals on things, I mean, like then it could be them. You could have Cote d'Ivoire also, be a silent sleeper, but yeah, definitely Morocco is probably gonna have that favorite, but you just never know what's gonna happen, and as long as people aren't grabbing towels off goals and things like that, so.
Well, thanks so much for your insight this week, Chris. Really enjoy having you on the show and look forward to having you in the future. Any last words, any last plugins you wanted to add to this week before we adjourned?
Oh man, of course I want to plug some stuff, man. Thank you. So we made this hat for Black Diamonds. It says watch African soccer. It's a pretty sweet hat. Got to plug it. Got the Black Diamonds crest there. It's got the continent of Africa. And if you look closely, it's in the soccer pitch pattern. But wait, there's more. Underneath the hat, we got the pitch pattern. It is a pretty snazzy hat. So we did this collab with Olive and York. They'll be putting it up on the site here soon. We have some locally as well, so that's pretty nice. And Brad, if I got one more in me, I'm gonna give you one more because you asked. So we did a Juneteenth jersey this year. We haven't done one before. The team hasn't done one yet, so we went for it, and I think we knocked it out of the park. I'm going to show it off. It's the first time I'm looking at it in my hands, so we're going to see it together. But we got this really nice kit here. As you can see, got the crest colorized. It says freedom since 1865. We got a nice pattern. It's black with a darker kind of gray. And on the back side, we got the kind of diamond V cutout. Got the 19 for Juneteenth. At the very top, we got some icons. We got the diamond. We got a fist, and we got the Roadrunner. And then, of course, it just continues pattern. So it's a really nice kit. And they are available. Should you want one? Should anyone want one? Just message or add us on Black Diamonds NM on Instagram or on Facebook, and just say, hey, I want to get that Juneteenth kit, and we'll get you set up.
Awesome. Really cool seeing that an exclusive drop here from Orange and Black SoccerCast.
You saw it first.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing that with us, and look forward to a good game this weekend.
All right. Sounds good. Thank you.
All right. Thanks for joining us, Chris.
All right.